just getting out of your college or university, what is something that you wish that you had known kind of going out into the world for the first time?
You know what's funny is that even though I wanted to study astronomy and astrophysics, and I did actually begin that process, I never followed through with it because I realized I didn't want to do math all the time for the rest of my life.
That's a good thing to figure out.
Right? So I just was like, I'm good. Don't worry. It's all good. And I actually never wound up going to college or university because it just it didn't really fit with my lifestyle. And I'm grateful for that in so many ways because I became an entrepreneur. I spent some time, I thought about it, I considered it. I was going to go to Ryerson for fashion photography and journalism. I considered that. And I even considered going out to UBC to study as well because they had a really good, journalism program and some really interesting stuff around astronomy and astrophysics, being on the coast where you can have telescopes that actually, have observatories. But I didn't do it, and instead I took an intentional year just to self-discover as a person, as a woman, as a young woman in Western society and culture, as a being, and I worked for a year, and I worked in an ice cream parlor, and it was really cute. And I made a lot of amazing friends, and I did a lot of wild exploration. And I mean, being 19, 20, 21, you're like young and you want to, especially being in a city and being a woman, at least, you feel like it's ironic because you feel like you have so much power being a woman, but you also recognize how little power you have at the same time sometimes. And the combination of the two things can create a really interestingly combustive lifestyle. But I mean, if there was anything that I could reflect on now that would have changed my life, even just leaving high school or even just experiencing that period of time that I wish that I had known, I would say that it is that being vulnerable is a healthy thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something that I've figured out throughout my adult years. Like, I've noticed that many times I picked up on the pattern after several years that if you, a lot of times, if you will open up first and be vulnerable first, it creates a safe space for other people to reciprocate. And so that's like a little trick that I use when I want to get closer to people. Is like, oh, I'll be vulnerable first. And a lot of times that'll lead to them reciprocating. It's like, oh, now we formed a bond and we have a connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like my lessons, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable. I feel like my lessons in vulnerability really started when I started the Body Pride workshops with my old business partner, and found myself needing to be in that situation, realizing that I had created so many barriers around myself because, I felt like as a woman to be powerful meant to be masculine, meant to be assertive, meant to be aggressive, meant to be egotistical, meant to be hard, meant to have boundaries, all of these things that we socially associate with masculinity, which is toxic because that's not actually masculine. It's just societal hardness.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Right? Thank you. Yeah. And it's so beautiful and interesting navigating language in this way because there's always room to learn. And I think that that's something we're always doing, especially when we want to generate compassion. But yeah, I feel like, when I started hosting the Body Pride workshops, for those of you who don't know, Body Pride was a series of nudist, non-sexual body positivity workshops. We were inspired by Betty Dodson's body sex workshops. Betty Dodson is a second wave radical feminist who was living in New York City and experiencing this wild need to empower women with their orgasm, with their perspective of their own bodies, with their talking freely about sexuality, with erotic art, with erotic literature, with open polyamorous sexual lifestyles. And she was just one of those amazing women, goddess rest her spirit, who just changed so much for the world. She's just amazing. And so we took a very form of her workshops, and I had a co-founder with me and a couple of other co-founders, or a couple of other facilitators, people who were just on board with our team as well. And we made so much beautiful change. You know, we would have these workshops. We did them every Friday for about, I did them every Friday for about 2.5 years before I ended up leaving the company due to personal reasons, but we won't discuss that. And I really just wanted to pursue my yoga practice and be in that space for a long time, which is the main reason why I left. But we did them every year, every Friday for a really long period of time. And we started out as women only because it was founded by women, cisgendered women. And so we wanted to create something from our own knowledge and our own experience. And then we decided to open it up to be a gender inclusive experience, and also include, you know, not cisgendered women, because there are so many women in the world, and everyone deserves to have this amazing experience of understanding who they are in this environment and to be accepted for who they are. So we opened, and it just seemed so reasonable. And we would have groups of like 8 to 10 people come together, perfect strangers, in a room, a comfortable living room space with vegan-friendly, non-bloating food, and, you know, at the time, wine and ganja. Bring your own ganja, like, just chill. We'll just have a good atmosphere. Nice mood lighting in the evening, and we would all get naked together, and we would get naked, and we would just talk.
Right. I just want to point out, this is actually how I first met you, because I did attend one of these events when it was the mixed gender. And it was a very like, pivotal experience for me, for sure. I just wanted to like kind of, I guess, disclose that. And I didn't want to stop your great train of thought.
Thank you, Lacey.
It was really beautiful. Yeah, for sure.
Yay. Oh, I'm so honored, and I'm so grateful to have met you through that. That's such a beautiful way. That's such a beautiful way. Honestly, it was like, it's always so funny meeting people for the first time naked, because there's so, right? And just realizing that that's like such a beautiful part of your connection, because there's so much less pretension around that. Everybody's just
and
more.
like you had said, that it was a non-sexual event, and like I was definitely not familiar with being naked in non-sexual contexts, aside from being like in the shower or something like that. And so like just being able to like discipline myself to just be like, no, we're just having a really great conversation, and yes, I can see everyone's bits, but like that's fine, it doesn't matter. It's like I said, it was a pivotal thing, because like it didn't, like, I think it's actually like had more effect on me in like later years since than it did right then. Like it did right then too, but just the way that I've evolved as a person and the way that I think about things now, I can really kind of see like, oh yeah, like that probably planted the seed that allowed me to kind of evolve in some of the ways that I have.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that you and the others ran that event.
I was so grateful that you just shared that. That makes me really happy. I love that. I love how many people were so positively affected by that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I love how much change in like consciousness that happened just by being able to be in that environment. And I just, like I was always the person growing up who was like, I was the first one having sex. I was the first one to be naked. I was the first one skinny dipping. I was the first one to sneak out of your friend's house in the middle of the night and like convince you to go down to the beach. You know, I was always the person who was like, let's do the wild thing. Let's do the insane. Let's do the like reckless thing, the fun thing, the thing that everybody's going to tell you not to do. Let's just do it, because why do they tell you not to do it? Probably something really good in it. So let's just do it and see what happens. And I feel like having that attitude changes a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like that's, yeah. I've talked about before, and I've written in my blog about being a very late bloomer, and like that is part of the experience that I'm having now, is that I'm kind of 10 years sort of behind a lot of people, but like I'm really making up for a lot of like missed experiences now, and it's kind of exciting because like I'm just like I know what I want, and I'm like a pretty well formed person, and but I'm still learning and evolving. And so it's just really like it's the pandemic is frustrating because it takes away a lot of those opportunities. But like, you know, when things are a little bit more open again, it's like look out, world, because I'm coming.
Yes, he is. Yes, you are. Oh, congratulations. You know, when your heart really wants something, if you don't do it, you'll always be a little sad.
Yeah, I think when you were saying a moment ago, you're talking about where the power really is, and talking about you know, growing and learning and all that, and it just made my mind simplify it down to like growth is power, and I feel like that's a really powerful statement as well.